In this video I'm going to show you how you can compare two sets of data from a list of numbers. It's important when you're comparing data to use an average and a measure of spread. And at foundations here you will need to know how to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. The interquartile range is higher tier. So let's have a look at these sets of data. Let's imagine that Bill and Millie have played several rounds of a game. Bill is perhaps less experienced, he's played 4 rounds of the game, and Millie has played 5 rounds of the game. And let's imagine that we want to tell who is the person who has done best, and we want to compare their scores to see who is the better player of the game. As I said, you will need one of these averages for each list, and you will need to work out for foundation tier the range for each list. And the idea here is to be able to write a couple of sentences to explain who has done best in terms of who's got the best scores overall on average, and who has got the highest range, which tells you how varied their scores were. So it's very normal to use the mean to compare two sets of data like this, and the range. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and work out the mean and the range for Bill's scores and the mean and the range for Millie's scores. Let's have a go at working out the mean for Bill's scores. The mean is when you add up all the numbers and you divide them by how many there were. The total here is 11 plus another 11, 22, divided by 4. There are 4 numbers, and therefore we've got a mean of 5.5 for Bill. If we do the same for Millie, her mean is 6 and 5, which is 11, plus 5, 16, plus 14 makes 30. And there are 5 scores here, so we're dividing by 5. Gives a mean of 6. Let's also work out their ranges. The range of Bill's scores is the largest take away the lowest. That's 8 minus 3, which is a range of 5. The range for Millie's scores is again the largest, take away the smallest, which is 2. So now we're going to be able to write a couple of sentences. We need to write a sentence which compares the means. Now, as I said, the mean is a type of average, and therefore a good sentence starter here is to say, on average, and then we can compare. Millie's got a higher score on average. Millie's got a higher mean score. So on average, Millie has higher scores, and it's useful to say by how much, by half a point. And then you need to write a second sentence, and you need to compare the ranges. Now the range tells you how varied or how spread out the data was. So if we look, Bill has got a range of 5 and Millie has got a range of 2. So that larger number tells us that Bill's scores were more varied. So we say Bill's scores varied more because he has a higher range. Okay, and that would get us all the marks, I think, for that type of question. You would be looking at calculating the mean in each case, calculating the range in each case, and then being able to write a couple of sentences to explain on average who had the higher scores and whose scores varied more by looking and comparing the ranges. Here's another example. Perhaps we've got Jenny and Tara playing the game. Now this time it might be useful, instead of using the mean and the range, to use the median and the range. The reason is the median is a good average to use when you've got outlying values, in other words, numbers which seem out of place in their list. So Jenny, if you look, has got low scores, but then she's got this one odd one out. Perhaps she had a lucky game, we don't know. Tara's scores are a bit more consistent. So let's look at how we can use the median. The median is done by putting the numbers in order and then finding the middle one. So we say 2, 3, 3, 4, 10, and the middle number is 3. If we look at the median of Tara's scores, there you go, 6, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, and in the middle here we've got 6 and 7, so the median is halfway between them at 6.5. Let's now look at the range again for each person. The range for Jenny is the highest take away the lowest, which is 8, and the range for Tara is the highest take away the lowest, which is 2. So in this case we can compare the medians and we can compare the ranges. Remember, the median is a type of average, and therefore we can start the sentence on average. So we say on average, and then we can say Tara got the better scores, by, well, the median here was 3, the median here was 6.5, so that's a difference of 3.5 points. Okay, we know that because the median is higher for Tara, so Tara on average got higher scores. And then again we can say who had more variation in their scores. Jenny, her scores varied more, and we know that because she had a higher range. So the key things to remember are, when you're comparing two lists of data, you need to work out an average, and normally you would say that's the mean, occasionally the median, not very often the mode, and you need to compare also the range so that you can tell how spread out or how varied the data was.